Well, after a 12-day Canadian road trip, the Idaho Steelheads return back to the Idaho Central Arena tonight for the first time since March 2nd as they open up a 3-game series against the Tulsa Oilers at 7:10 p.m. here this evening. Cam McGuire sitting alongside Steelheads head coach Everett Sheen. Well, Sheener, 12 days on the road, 6 games. I did some mileage calculation. It was about 8,500 miles traveled throughout that trip. Certainly nice to get back home, isn't it?
Yeah, really nice to be back home. That was a long way away from home and away from the family, so it's good to be back here in Boise for sure.
Before we segue into getting back home and playing 8 of your final 11 games on home ice, look at that Canadian trip. Obviously, went through a lot of adversity, a postponement of a game in St. John's, Newfoundland. The travel alone is a lot. You end up playing 6 games in 8 days. Come back home with a record of 3-2-0-1. So what are your overall evaluations from the trip?
After the schedule got switched to 6 games in 8 days, to come out with 3 wins and a shootout loss, we'll take it for sure. It was a little bit of a grind. That one day where it snowed and we basically just got stuck in the hotel all day and had to play the next night was a little tough. But to bounce back and get our wins when needed to secure the playoffs and come home above 500 was good.
You mentioned it right there, locking up a playoff spot exactly a week ago now. So when you look at the rest of the schedule, and we kind of talked about it a little bit in Trois-Rivières, 11 games left, obviously still chasing Kansas City for the division, but how do you look at these next 11 games heading into playoffs?
It's practice. We got to get dialed and ready to go for playoffs, especially since we have Tulsa and Utah, 8 of our 11, which are 2 potential first-round matchups. So they're going to be, and those teams are fighting for position, fighting for spots. So it's going to be playoff hockey down the stretch, which is good for our group.
Looking at what is essentially going to be playoff hockey here down the stretch, you guys have played 4 of your last 5 games decided by 1 goal. Matter of fact, 11 of the last 14 games have been decided by 2 or fewer goals. You coming away victorious in 9 of those. Looking at these teams, Tulsa fighting for a playoff spot, Utah fighting for a playoff spot, Rapid City as well. So it really is going to feel like playoff hockey.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we've got to make sure we're ready to go and looking after the game. I think our group does a pretty good job in those tight situations. We've been in a lot of close games throughout the season, and our young guys are kind of maturing with their decision-making in those situations. So 11 more games here to kind of sharpen up and make sure we're ready to go when puck drop.
8 of 11 at home too, huge. How do you use that towards your advantage?
Oh, it's going to be nice to be able to get some good practice time in, even some off days here and there, just making sure we're rested and ready to go come playoff time.
In terms of some individual pieces over the weekend, Steelheads defenseman Matt Register played in his 600th career ECHL game last Friday night, becoming one of just 14 players in league history to do so, just the second defenseman. Began his ECHL career with the guy that I'm sitting next to right here, Everett Sheen. You've seen him come a long way, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. No, he's come quite a long way from when we had him as a 21-year-old or whatever he was when he started playing. Very immature and offensive-minded, and now his game's kind of really grown, especially the last 2 years, how hard he defends and his leadership on the team. And, I didn't realize this, but he somehow sneakily set the Steelheads assist record last week. He just quietly, picking up his points and doing his job.
Steelheads goaltender Brian Thompson recalled by the Texas Stars earlier this morning. Keaton Mastrodonato still here, however, added back to the lineup during the trip in Trois-Rivières. Huge addition back. We saw him score the first goal on Saturday night. And I know that you've been really impressed with the growth that you've seen from his overall play in his 2 months or so that he spent in Texas.
Yeah, he came back. His wall play has really improved. He's dangerous as always on the score sheet, which is nice. It's always good to add a 20-goal scorer down the stretch and not have to make a trade for it. But his compete, his maturity in this time up in Texas has really shone through.
And then perhaps one of the biggest news, probably one of the biggest headlines of the season, is the Steelheads signing the son of Jeremy Milmuck, Connor Milmuck, yesterday. He adds a very different piece that you guys have been searching for in terms of toughness.
Absolutely. He finishes his checks and he finishes them hard. He's willing to drop the mitts if needed, and he also brings some skill too. And for him to choose to come back to Boise is ultimately pretty cool. Where he saw his dad play some years here, and obviously his dad's jersey's hanging in the rafters. So it's a cool story, and we're excited to have him.
Yeah, number 4 is hanging in the rafters. Connor Milmuck will wear number 11. This is probably a question for Beast, but I thought maybe that we'd see number 4 come out of retirement. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, though.
No, we joked with Jeremy about that, and I think that'd be a little too much pressure for the kids. So, he's going to make his own path here and carve out his own career here.
Absolutely. And looking ahead to the series here tonight, Steelheads are 3-3 this season against the Oilers, all 6 meetings. meetings coming back at the BOK Center in Oklahoma this year. Tulsa always gives you their best, and it's certainly going to be a good matchup, not only here tonight, but heading into Friday and Saturday as well.
Absolutely. They're a very well-coached team. They work hard. They compete. They're simple. They're good at what they do, so it's going to be a good test absolutely for us.
There you have it. That's Steelheads head coach Everett Sheen. Sheener, as always, appreciate the time, and best of luck tonight.
Thanks a lot, Cam.